I am the researcher, and this is Mostly Monsters. If you found this channel, then you already know what we do here. We don't tell stories, we don't speculate, we don't chase myths, we open files, real ones, the kind that aren't supposed to be seen. Before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which SCP you want me to investigate next. The deeper we go, the darker it gets, and I decide what we open next based on you. And if you want to carry a piece of the foundation with you, visit scpmerchstore.com. Now, settle in, turn off the lights, and listen carefully, because tonight we're opening 5 files, 5 entities, 5 things that remind us that humanity is not at the top of the food chain. SCP-121, Concrete Cradle. Object Class, Euclid. SCP-121 is not alive in any biological sense, yet it demonstrates persistent motion, adaptive structure, and what we can only be described as territorial behavior. It exists as a massive humanoid formation composed entirely of integrated architecture, residential homes, commercial buildings, fragments of infrastructure, and environmental debris. Each structure appears to be physically fused into a cohesive whole, forming limbs, torso, and appendages that shift subtly over time, as if the entity is constantly rearranging itself. Close observation reveals that the buildings embedded within SCP-121 are not merely attached, they are incorporated. Interiors are preserved in many cases. Furniture remains, personal belongings are often still visible through broken windows. In several recorded instances, lights have been seen flickering inside structures that have been part of SCP-121 for weeks. No known power source has been identified. The entity moves slowly, covering ground at a pace that suggests no urgency. However, its pacing is not random. SCP-121 has demonstrated a consistent pattern of approaching populated or formerly populated areas. Prior to its arrival, there are often reports of minor structural anomalies, objects shifting, vibrations in foundations, and in some cases, entire buildings experiencing brief levitation events before settling again. When SCP-121 reaches a location, structures begin to disappear. This process is silent. There is no collapse, no explosion, no visible force. Buildings simply cease to exist within normal space. Days later, identical structures, or fragments thereof, appear embedded within SCP-121's body. Analysis confirms that these are the same buildings, not replicas. Attempts at containment have included aerial bombardment, structural dismantling, and large-scale evacuation efforts. All have failed. Damage inflicted upon SCP-121 results in temporary fragmentation, but the entity reconstitutes itself using surrounding material. In some cases, destroyed buildings nearby are incorporated at an accelerated rate, suggesting that aggression may increase its growth. There is no confirmed method of neutralization. There is only observation and avoidance. SCP-278, a large mechanical spider. Object Class, Safe. SCP-278 is a mechanical construct of considerable size and complexity, resembling a spider in overall form. Its body is composed of steel, iron, and aged wood, with clear evidence of multiple construction periods spanning over a century. Older components, steam era mechanisms, pulley systems, and analog processing assemblies, have been retrofitted with more modern hydraulic systems and structural reinforcement. Despite its entirely mechanical structure, SCP-278 exhibits behavior that cannot be fully explained through engineering alone. The control interface mounted on its dorsal surface allows a human operator to pilot the construct, using a simplified system of levers and pedals. Operators report an unusual experience despite the immense number of moving parts required for locomotion. Control feels intuitive, almost automatic. Complex movements require minimal input, as if 278 is compensating for human error or anticipating commands. However, SCP-278 does not require an operator. When left unattended, it becomes active. It seeks out environments that meet specific criteria, large open spaces with low light levels. Once such a location is found, SCP-278 begins constructing a web using stored links of high tensile nylon-like material. These webs are not random, they are precise, geometrically consistent, and structurally sound enough to support the entity's full weight. The purpose of these webs remains unknown. They are not used for trapping prey. They are not defensive structures. They appear deliberate, almost ritualistic. During a notable containment failure, SCP-278 exited its holding facility and traveled a significant distance without guidance. It navigated terrain, avoided obstacles, and ultimately arrived in an urban environment where it climbed a multi-story building and positioned itself vertically, remaining motionless for several hours. The Foundation intervened by presenting SCP-278 as part of a public art installation under controlled operation. It was moved through the city as a performance piece. However, analysis of recorded footage revealed something concerning. Even when stationary, SCP-278's limbs made subtle adjustments, micro-movements, corrections, as if it was maintaining balance not just physically, but observationally, as if it were aware of being watched. SCP-1143. Cool guys don't look at explosions. Object class: safe. SCP-1143 is a pair of unmarked aviator glasses with no visible anomalous properties when not in use. Spectrographic analysis, material testing, and structural examination have revealed nothing out of the ordinary. However, when worn, SCP-1143 induces a localized alteration of physical events centered around the wearer. This effect manifests as spontaneous explosions occurring behind the individual designated SCP-1143-1. The explosions vary in size, intensity, and frequency based on several behavioral and psychological variables. Subjects exhibiting high levels of confidence, calmness, and self-assured behavior produce larger and more dramatic detonations. Movement plays a critical role. Slow, deliberate motion results in widespread destruction, while rapid movement generates more violent, concentrated blasts. Environment context also influences outcomes. Clothing, posture, and even perceived style alter the types of object affected. Formal attire correlates with large-scale structural destruction, while casual clothes results in smaller, localized incidents. One of the most consistent rules observed in directional limitation: explosions only occur outside the direct line of sight of SCP-1143-1. The moment the object turns to observe the destruction, all anomalous effects cease immediately. This has led researchers to theorize that SCP-1143 operates under a form of narrative constraint, enforcing a sequence of events that align with a specific behavioral archetype. A critical incident demonstrated the upper limits of SCP-1143's destructive capacity. A subject engaged in high-speed movement while exhibiting peak confidence levels, resulting in a chain reaction of explosions that escalated exponentially. The final detonation was equivalent to a large-scale military-grade explosive, causing catastrophic damage across a wide area. All personnel were killed. SCP-1143 was recovered intact. The object does not degrade, it does not change, it simply waits for the next individual to wear it. SCP-1293, Squeedle-Deedle-Dee. Object class: Euclid. SCP-1293 represents a species of anomalous humanoid entities that defy conventional biological classification. Each specimen appears unique, yet all share common structural and behavioral traits. Their bodies resemble costumed human figures, often with exaggerated features and vibrant coloration. Closer examination reveals that these are not costumes. Their external appearance is biological. Skin mimics fabric. Internal structures resemble stitched materials instead of blood. Their circulatory systems transport small, multicolored spherical objects composed primarily of sugar-like compounds. SCP-1293 entities do not require sustenance in the traditional sense. They do not consume food or water, and they exhibit no signs of fatigue or sleep cycles. Despite this, they are capable of reproduction. Specimens designated SCP-1293-A are responsible for reproductive processes. These entities communicate verbally, often using cheerful, nonsensical language patterns. However, their behavior indicates a level of awareness that contradicts their tone. Reproduction involves a process that appears to incorporate elements of human interaction, emotional response, and imaginative input. When containment procedures are not followed, SCP-1293-A will produce SCP-1293-C. These entities differ drastically from baseline specimens. SCP-1293-C are hostile, physically distorted, and highly aggressive. They possess additional limbs, exaggerated anatomical features, and demonstrate a clear intent to harm human subjects. Their behavior is unpredictable, and they exhibit rapid movement and high durability. Containment procedures require strict monitoring of SCP-1293-A to prevent the emergence of SCP-1293-C. Armed personnel are stationed at all times, prepared to neutralize any hostile instances immediately. Events involving SCP-1293-B, another subset of the species, include coordinated group behaviors that resemble choreographed movements. These events occur without communication, suggesting a form of nonverbal or telepathic coordination. The true nature of SCP-1293 remains unclear. Whether they are biological entities, constructs, or something else entirely is still under investigation. SCP-4975. Time's Up. Object Class: Euclid. SCP-4975 is a humanoid entity characterized by avian features and a highly unusual skeletal structure. Its most distinctive trait is its cervical spine, which consists of independently rotating vertebrae. These vertebrae move continuously in a sequential pattern, producing a rhythmic cracking or clicking sound. This sound is constant. It does not stop, except when SCP-4975 is about to attack. SCP-4975 engages in prolonged stalking behavior, selecting a target and observing them over extended periods, sometimes months. During this time, the target may report hearing the characteristic cracking sound, often without being able to identify its source. As the stalking period progresses, the frequency and proximity of the sound may increase. When SCP-4975 initiates an attack, the sound ceases entirely. Victims are subjected to rapid, violent assaults, often involving blunt force and tearing injuries. In many cases, the attacking entity is not visible, even when observed directly. Physical evidence suggests the presence of a force, but visual confirmation is inconsistent. Following the attack, SCP-4975 consumes the remains of the victim. One of the most concerning aspects of SCP-4975 is its apparent ability to affect individuals regardless of its containment status. Documented incidents have occurred while SCP-4975 was securely contained, suggesting that either multiple instances exist or the entity operates through mechanisms not limited by physical location. Containment procedures focus on minimizing human interaction and isolating individuals who report auditory symptoms consistent with SCP-4975's presence. However, there is no confirmed method of preventing an attack once a subject has been selected. The only consistent indicator is the sound, and when that sound stops, the outcome is already decided. 5 files, 5 entities, 5 reminders that the world is far more dangerous than we believe. I am the researcher, and this has been Mostly Monsters. If you want me to open another file, tell me which one. And don't forget, visit scpmerchstore.com. Until next time, listen carefully, because if you hear something ticking, it may already be too late.